That's called a retreat. And you're coming here, it's like a vacay on steroids where you can be in the presence of love. People that are there are in love. And it's amazing to be in that and what it can do for a relationship. I think it can just set you like years beyond.
Hey, we're Britt and Chris Carmichael, and you're listening to the Elevated Life Podcast. Throughout the 13 years we've been together, we've never ceased in our endless quest to better ourselves.
We've studied top experts, philosophers, and gurus. After years of personal self-experimentation, we found the tools for shifting your beliefs, moving through fears, and developing a positive mindset.
If you're ready for a breakthrough, then you're in the right place, because we're here to empower you to take control of your life with simple mindset shifts that create radical transformation.
We'll be diving into topics like personal growth, health, philosophy, spirituality, relationships, success, and mindfulness.
So create some space for yourself and get comfy. It's time to become the badass you were born to be. Oh my gosh, we are back from the Evolved Couples Retreat, and I am feeling so good. I remember going into this thinking, I have no clue, like zero clue, if I will ever host another couples retreat again. We were just kind of going on a whim, like people are asking for it. People seem to like our relationship and want to know how we make it work. And I just thought, okay, we'll try it. I don't know how the men are going to be. Are they going to be like closed off? Are they going to be ego? Are they going to be like, I didn't know. And on day 2, when we laid down in bed, I looked over at Chris and I said, I definitely want to host another couples retreat. It was so clear to me that that was the kind of energy and space and people and love and examples of love that I wanted to surround myself with. And my heart is just open and exploding, and I'm laughing at myself looking back thinking, why did I think wooing the men was going to be the hard thing? Like, why was I worried about them? It's always the women that are the pickiest and the hardest that you have to woo. And I'm used to holding space for like 20 plus women at my goddess retreat. So it's so funny that my thought was, how are the men going to be? And if they're willing to come to a couples retreat, you already know that they're one step ahead of that evolved emotional male.
Yeah, I think that for guys, it's such a different experience. And I know that for most couples, the person who drags the other partner to the retreat, it's the woman dragging the guy for the most part.
100%.
Right? It's going to be typically that. Mostly it's not, oh my gosh, babe, we got to go to this retreat. I've never said that. I really, that's never happened.
When I wanted to host my first retreat, you're like, what? Why?
Yeah, it seemed like a crazy idea. But what's interesting, the big difference between the two is that when you see an individual transform, I mean, it's really powerful. It's really fascinating to watch. It's beautiful. You get to see them bloom and blossom, and really you don't. You get to see them think they're blooming and blossoming, right? Because you, as a host or as a person who leads events and things like that, you have to be able to picture that person in the form that they want to be in. You know, you have to sort of be able to picture that kind of awesome version of themselves that they're trying to get to. And then you can just naturally help them into that, you know, because you are providing really a space so that kind of transformation can happen. But when you're dealing with couples, it's a totally different thing. Totally different. Because you're dealing with 3 energies. You have the energy of each partner, and that's going to be something different. So there's going to be an individual transformation that happens on both of their parts. And then you have the dynamic of the couple, which is their 2 energies mixed together, which is something completely different as well. I mean, if you've ever tried to cook anything and you've mixed 2 of the wrong ingredients together, like something weird comes out, even if the 2 ingredients separate are amazing. So it's different in the goddess retreats because you're able to see a catalyst. You have to get both partners in a sense, or they have to, it's not that we do it, they have to get in a certain space together where they can merge, and it can be really beautiful and really healthy. And that's what we get to see. So it's so beautiful to have that happen.
Yeah, you know, what's interesting is being around other powerful couples that are in love kind of shows you a dynamic of which you can gauge your level of strength and intimacy in a relationship. So it's not only just assessing yourself and where you're at through like the journal work and things that we do in the process, but also just connecting with other couples and most likely learning from them. learning what works in your relationship, what you can see isn't maybe working perfectly in there so that you can kind of check where you're at. I mean, so many different ways that you can use the wisdom and the dynamic of all the different couples that come together.
Yeah, it's fascinating to be able to see the people, because one of the concerns of men, and I know this because multiple guys told me this individually, and they said that they were worried that they were going to come up here and everyone was going to gang up on them at once and be like, hey, everything you're doing is wrong. You suck. And I was like, no. Like that is absolutely not what we're looking for. This is to create a constructive space where we can talk about things and be open about stuff. And what I noticed is that one of the men said that what he did not know before coming in was that his relationship had what he referred to as micro tears. It's like the same kind of stuff that would happen if you went to the gym a lot. You tear your muscles up in the gym. Like that's exactly what's going on. So what he was saying is that they didn't have some sort of glaring issue. It wasn't like some sort of injury in the relationship. It was just that it was a little nagging thing. It was something that wasn't big enough to talk about or really to bring up, but over time it starts to matter. And so he said we were able to find those things in our relationship where there's these micro tears so that we could patch them and we could talk about it and we can move on from them and start reliving and sort of revitalizing our lives again.
So one of the women in my Shine Tribe sisterhood was commenting on some of the pictures, and she asked, well, how do I get my husband to go to one of these? And I would like to know what your advice is as a male perspective. Like, how can us women convince our partners better?
Well, I think you can start to, a lot of guys are sciencey, logical. They like facts. They like things like that. So what you can start to do is start to find other people who've gone to retreats. See what kind of experience they've had. If they have good benefit out of it, tell that to them. Like say, hey, one of my friends went to a retreat. It was wonderful for them. They said they got so much out of it. It wasn't weird. It wasn't strange. It wasn't just, because you're opening your heart. Like this is a space where men aren't used to doing these kinds of things. We're not used to opening our heart. We're not used to dealing with our emotions. We're not used to being around people and having our actions. A lot of people think they're going to get judged. And so that can seem like an attack. And if you're a guy with a really big ego or you have something that's real fragile about you, it's easy to let that thing get set off. And that's most of us. Guys typically won't admit that, but that's most of us. Most of us have these fragile egos. And if they get beaten up and bruised, it's so much easier for us to put our tail between our legs and to run away or to get angry or defensive and stuff like that. But that's not what a retreat is about. That's called a retreat. And you're coming here, it's like a vacay on steroids where you can be in the presence of love. People that are there are in love. And it's amazing to be in that and what it can do for a relationship. I think it can just set you like years beyond. It's because of that time where you're relaxing. It's because what most of us need in life is a pause. We need a break. We need a moment where we're not dealing with kids and we're not dealing with our work and we're not answering the phone and we're not playing responsibilities to a million people. Because that's what most of our lives is about. It's about spending our hours on our responsibilities. And for a moment, especially when you're in something that's as huge and impactful in your life as your love relationship, you have to take a break from life and say, hey, this is the most important thing to me. Can you think what's going to be beside you on sort of like that deathbed moment for you that is going to be your loved ones? It's not going to be anything else that we spend our time with. And so to set aside some days and say, you know what, you're so important to me. I mean, if you're a woman, persuade your man. You know what to do. I mean, you should know your man.
Hashtag get on your knees.
Oh my gosh. But it's true. Like as females, I think you have a lot more power. That's one of the things I learned too from the retreat is that there are powerful females in the world. It's the female energy because you watch the guys. It's true.
All the men are just trying to lasso their ladies like holy smokes, And you know what? We had a lesbian couple there. It's not just like male female dynamic, but that's what we're in. So that's what we're experts at. So just if you're getting frustrated with pronouns or whatever, the dynamic, the energy, just know that's where we're coming from.
Yeah, and to watch people not have to do laundry and to watch people not have to cook a meal, not have to think about going to the grocery store. It's all done for you.
It's true. On the first day, they're like, I don't know what to do. I feel like I should take my plate or I should do this. Can I help? By the last day, they're like, take my stuff, Kevin. Thank you.
I know. And it's such a different way, especially for the people who are parents. I being able to talk to them and be able to watch them and all the friends that we have, the ones with kids, you can tell. I mean,
They needed it.
they've been run down. The battery's a little low. And I get it. You're pouring all your energy into another being. I think it's beautiful to do, but it doesn't mean you don't need to take a break. And that's what I feel like the couples are really able to do. And I feel like that would be something that would be such a gift to a guy, because we are encumbered by thoughts. I mean, we just have thoughts pounding around in our head all day long, and so many different things pulling us different directions. To be able just to spend time with the person that we're really in love with, to like recommit to our relationships again, like that's what guys really want too. They just sometimes can't come out and say it. They don't have the emotional awareness sometimes. They're just not used to it. That may make them feel vulnerable, but that's what they really need.
A vacation from their head to their heart.
Yes, and we don't realize as guys how powerful that can be. I mean, I didn't know. I listened to my brain a lot. I mean, I told Britt, like, when we met, I said, I don't want to get married. I'm not interested in it. I think that's stupid. And she was like, oh, okay. But she will use those woman powers like I was talking about earlier. She figured it out. And I told her no multiple times. No, I'm not interested in getting married.
Oh, I did get on, one knee.
You did.
Was it because I was only on one knee? The ring wasn't enough.
Oh my gosh.
My heartfelt commitment to you was not enough.
That's just something about me though. I'm going to shoot you straight. I'm going to be honest. I don't I'm into boundaries and not letting people push me into a corner that I don't want to be in. And so I just gave the answer. I thought it would be weird for me. I mean, it would have been easy, yes. It would have been easy to say that, but it was a no. So I said it was a no.
Oh, I knew you were still scared, so I just attempted it.
Still scared, see?
I just attempted it a few years later, and I got a maybe, so I knew I was in. And that's all I needed, was just to know that you were committed. And, fast forward to one of my favorite parts of the whole experience was watching all the couples do their recommitment ceremony on the beach, to share their vows, to confess their love, to be photographed by our incredible photographer JC, to capture that moment really was so special. Because, and I know that to be true, because when I looked at the pictures of us and sharing our recommitment and our vows to each other, the thing that I will take away from that is your vow to me to never abandon me. That was huge. That was like worth the whole, all the trouble it took to put that together, all the experience, all the work, all the effort, all the couples and everything that they went through is great. But for you to say that to me was like, you've never said those words. You've always proven it by action, and you're here. So thank you.
I think this is an important tip. This is what Britt got out of the retreat. And every single part of it was amazing. There's not one part I would change. And for her to have gotten out something that I said in a few moments while we all stood out on, next to the ocean, that's huge. That's what the female needs. Or that's what one of the partners needs, maybe both. They need the other person not just to do it every day. Sometimes you need a little more reassurance. You need the person to explicitly come out and say it. Hey, this is how I feel about you. I care about you. You're something that matters to me. I want our future to be awesome together. And just saying those things puts you on a different path. Because now you say, oh my gosh, I've been waiting so many years to hear you say that. But now you're finally here, and and you see that with the couples. That little recommitment ceremony that they do is something they've been waiting on for a lot of years. It's something that you can tell at least one of the partners has been waiting to hear those things. And they're just words, but they're so powerful to hear them from somebody that you care about when you're in a space that's really open, you're enjoying yourself, you're not stressed. It feels so good.
When it all boils down to it, men just want to be trusted, thanked, and accepted. And women want to feel like you're not trying to fix them, that you care for them, and that you understand them, that you validate them, that you make them feel heard or seen, rather than, hey, you're crazy, let me fix you. I think when it really boils down to it, if you can keep that at the forefront of how you're holding space for your partner and what you need, those are your core basics.
Another thing with guys, though, is that we have to realize that sometimes the female has very good ideas that we have to listen to.
Like getting married?
Oh my gosh. It's true. Marriage has turned out to be something beautiful. And I know people don't always experience that on the first go around. That's fine too. No worries. Having the strength and courage to pursue it again, to know that it's something valuable that you want to have in your life, I mean, that's such an integral part of feeling happy, of feeling a part of something, of not feeling that aloneness. And there's nothing wrong with being single. Nothing wrong with being
I
single.
mean, interesting enough, we had a single person at our couples retreat.
Which I think was probably the most profound thing.
That was really beautiful to witness and just to hold space for that healing and transformation. It was truly empowering, especially because I got to be her partner.
Yeah. So what I told the group the first night is that this is a couples retreat. I mean, the goal here is to really enhance our love with each other, but the real takeaway is that the relationship you always have to work on is the one with yourself. I mean, that's the real relationship, because if you're not improving that one, or if your self-talk is, super bad, or if your self-image is something that's detrimental to you, it's hard to let in the love from the other person, because they can say the right words, but you're not going to hear them because it doesn't match up with whatever your internal belief is. So we start from the very beginning with it's the individual concept we have to work on first, and then we can talk about moving into the couple space. And you can watch guys start to open up. You can watch them get comfortable in the group and say things. We had multiple people say things they'd never said before, never admitted to anybody else, which is phenomenal. I mean, to think that, you can heal past wounds, and sometimes it's a big deal to them, but not a big deal to anybody else. And they say, oh my God, I haven't said that. It sounds so small, but as one person does that and feels that transfer, they get to let go of something. We don't realize how much we're holding on to, and it's not like therapy sessions. It's just an open forum where people can actually express themselves. It's beautiful. It's so good to see people finally be able to connect and to realize some new ways to communicate, some really powerful ways that they can get their point across without feeling attacked, without feeling like someone's going to leave. It's all those things we don't say stuff because we worry too much. And so here's a different kind of environment to be in.
I mean, besides we love the food, oh my God, Chef Kevin is the bomb. I would say the number one thing that the couples shared in their testimonial about the experience was the quote tools that they are walking away with. Every single person sat down and said, we now have better tools to handle our communication, our intimacy, our XYZ. So the phrase tools came up a lot. I noticed that as I was interviewing all the couples, like, okay, like this is what it is. It's just like little tips and tricks that help you to diffuse the part of the other partner, and knowing how to hold space and healing, and not just trying to fix or change, but come together to find positive solutions. I think it's really beautiful to see all the different takeaways that they've had from, one couple said that they really thought what would help them is when they were starting to get heated, to actually put on a song that they loved and do the eye gazing experience, where they don't communicate with words, but they sit and stare and look at each other in the eye, deep in the eyes for 5 minutes, 3 minutes. I mean, can you imagine what you would actually say after that time is up, once you've sat with yourself and looking at your partner and not projecting stories onto them? I mean, whoa. I just love how couples are taking the tools that we shared with them and spinning it in their unique way.
Yeah, being able to have multiple defaults to pick from. I think the biggest problem we run into is that most of us just run on automatic behaviors. As a matter of fact, we all do. A lot of our habits are just things that we've repeated and repeated, and we often wonder why we're not getting new things. And sometimes just a simple idea, or a way something is explained, or a new technique or tool to be able to use is enough to turn a couple that's, at like a 5 or a 6 to that 7, 8, 9 level. And it's incredible what you can do when you master a few simple things, like just communication. It's such a big deal. But if you have the awareness while you're communicating, you can decide, wow, I'm not doing very good at this. Or my partner sure is responding not in the way that I would like. And you're able to move that and change that differently without letting the ego get in too much, without using your words as daggers. Because I think that's why eye gazing works so well. That's one of the most beautiful techniques to use. And that is that we use words as weapons oftentimes. But it's hard to use your eyes as weapons. Because when you sit and you look at somebody and you're not focused on something else, even if you're upset in the beginning, it starts to soften, because it starts to be like the soul to soul connection, rather than I'm just going to hurt you with what I'm about to say. If you can't say anything, you're disarmed, and all you can do is just look, and you start to realize like it's another being across from me. They probably didn't mean to mess up, and if they did, let's have a conversation about it. And so it puts you in another kind of physiological state. It lets your body relax. And you start to feel like so many more things are possible.
So I want to know, I'm curious, and I'm sure our listeners are too. What was Christopher Carmichael's favorite part of the couples retreat?
I think being able to talk to everybody individually, being able to establish a connection so quickly with someone who you called stranger a day or two beforehand is phenomenal for me. I feel like I've made a lot of lifelong friends, and you don't know what you're going to get. Especially we didn't know, since we haven't hosted a couples retreat before. We didn't know what's the outcome. How do people feel? What are we doing here? We don't exactly know how all the processes are going to work. Will these flow well together? And being able to see that people who are often closed off, I would say that I'm not always open. I haven't always been open my whole life. Being closed off is something that happens more naturally for me. And being able to just immediately go into with these people and immediately open up, feels so good on an individual level. It really restored my faith in what a lot of people have going on. Because relationships are one of the hardest things to get right. And mostly because we spend a lot of time attacking ourselves or holding ourselves to standards that no one can ever reach. And realizing that when you do take a break and when you do take a pause from life, and you do kind of get into the mode of, what is it that I want? When you spend the actual days to think about it, not just an exercise that you do, not just you wrote down in a journal what you want to manifest. That's not enough. That's just a quick thing, and then you spend the whole rest of your day doing whatever it is that you do. When you pause out of your life, you can attract things into your life quicker because you're extremely focused for a short period of time.
Oh, you get on the same page.
Yeah, you have these micro bursts, and it's possible as a couple for you to bring into your lives whatever it is that you want very rapidly, where you wake up each morning excited because you see these marvelous things constantly coming to you. And you kind of get overwhelmed with just how amazing it can be. And I just want to let everyone know that love is very possible. If you've been burned by love, or if your relationship's not working out the way it's supposed to be right now, or the way you imagined it to be, it's okay. Like, all of that's okay. It doesn't always end up being the perfect one, but it's always good to give love a chance. No matter if you've been burned by it a million times in the past. That's what we got to hear a lot of people. We got to hear stories of what happened to them in the past. Well, my ex was this way, or my wife or my husband was this way, and you get to realize that people go through it, and that's part of the process. And I went through it. I went through it before I met Britt. I'm sure she went through it before she met me, and we went through it together in the beginning. But the whole idea here that so much love is possible, and that sometimes it's a little bit of a struggle to find it, sometimes a little bit of a struggle to maintain it. It's all doable. And it's all within your power to make it happen.
One of the things that you said on the drive to get to Destin was that love is lust evolved. And that really resonated with me, since we had originally been inspired with the word evolve to create this retreat, that it's something more than that surface level conversation. It's something more than just roommates and just, hey, what'd you do with the kids? Okay, great. Like, I don't know what he does for work or what she does, but like, I don't know. I think they're happy. I think it's beyond that. It's like really signing up for that partnership so that you can create a union, so that you're like two individuals as one entity, essentially, where you know how each other are thinking and feeling. You can anticipate their needs, and you can wrangle them in when they're being wild, maybe too wild. I just think it's really powerful to be in the presence of that, especially because I know you didn't come from like the best example of what relationship or love could be like, which is why you decided very young that you weren't going to get married, because there was no prime example that was positive for you.
Yeah, it just didn't seem like doable, and I think, like you mentioned earlier, being around other couples that are doing it and doing it well, not just okay. A lot of people can fake it in a short period of time, but it's difficult to really put on the fake hat for a long time. And watching people really get it and sink in with their partner, where you can tell that that's Their partner is the first thing they're thinking about. They're both intertwined deeply into each other's lives. And there's a different happiness about people when it's like that. It's a totally different them. If you've ever had a friend that's kind of hit a low spot in their life for a little bit, and then they get a little bit better, and then they find this relationship, and the relationship is like, oh, you see a different them. It's like, holy smokes, you're a different right now. I like this you. I like how it's, because the other partner is there to help pull it out of you. They're going to help pull out your greatness so that you can see it. What a great partner will do is they'll hold up a mirror for you, and they'll shine back some of the best parts. And if they're doing it right, they'll shine those best parts at you, and you'll go, oh my gosh, that's me. You'll realize it, and you'll have to realize it through their eyes. That's one of the parts of love that I think many of us are missing out on. And it's one of the parts that is the most healing internally.
So I want to know, what were you most surprised by at the retreat?
I was most surprised by how great the weather was.
Stop.
The weather was so good.
Stop.
It's true. We're on the beach in February. You never know what's going to happen. You don't know. It could be super rains.
The last time we were in Destin, it was a hurricane, so that was good.
It was perfect weather at every moment.
It's true. Mid-70s in February on the beach. I mean, the water was chilly, but it was invigorating. And it was just really beautiful to take those long walks on the beach every day, just to talk and to, as I mentioned earlier, get on the same page, because I find that to be something that the couples are continuing to do. I see them and they're sharing with us like, hey, we went on our walkie-talkie and we got together and shared about our day and connected on a deeper level to see, how can we make some updates? What are the goals we want to be held accountable for? Because when you're constantly in communication with your partner, you have like a built-in like buddy system for accountability to make the shit happen, especially if you're making sex magic and visualizing the same goal together. Like, it can rapidly manifest. And it's just so beautiful to see already so many of the positive effects, not only in our life, but all the couples' lives too. Just, hearing feedback. I love knowing that just taking time to relax can be so impactful. I mean, obviously you're learning and all the things, but really I would say it was part vacation and part healing sessions, but really like the overall vibe just felt like a great hangout. Like you don't have to work so hard. It doesn't have to be like this grueling, like knockdown, drag out process. Like it can be done with grace.
You asked me what's the most surprising thing for me. And I will tell you that, and I don't know why it still surprises me, because I feel like I've known this for forever. But this was just an example where it happened again and again. And that is people's ability to persevere. We heard a ton of stories of what have happened to people in the past. Things they've gone through, obstacles they've had to overcome, all sorts of things. And I am so amazed by the human spirit, our ability to just make it happen, to just decide, to just say, today's going to be my day, and I'm going to do it today. Like, just to our ability to do that continually, despite whatever circumstances we're faced with, is phenomenal. And there were so many stories where people told, I'm just thinking like, oh my gosh, you're
How
awesome.
Are you still here?
You are so awesome. And I love that feeling of bringing around people, because success stories are ugly. I mean, they are typically ugly, just ugly as can be. And that's why I'm always trying to tell people like, hey, if you've hit a rough spot, like, awesome, because it's about to turn around. You just got to weather the storm a little bit. And you can tell sometimes in relationships, we can hit little patches where you got to weather the storm a little bit, because sometimes life gets very stressful. Sometimes you're just up against a bunch of things at once. And you can't put in that time in your relationship. There are periods of that. But it's important to know that if you're in the boat with the right person, it doesn't matter what the sea's doing. Even if it's tough. That's totally fine. Because on the days where it's great, it's really great. And on the days where it's not so great, it's still pretty good. And that's the thing to get out of all of it. Those days are still pretty good. That's the person you want in your boat with you. And those are the kind of couples that we're trying to help to move to that next level for them. Because I want to see more couples like that. Maybe I do it all for selfish reasons. I want to see more people be happy, like just so I can be more happy.
To make the world a better place. It's true. I mean, so many people, including ourselves, have come from broken families. And I feel like this is just a case in point that if you choose to do the work on yourself and you hold space for that love and growth in your partner, and they're willing to do that, that's also a big issue that I see is one partner wants to grow and the other one doesn't. And that's when you know you've come to an end in your journey together. So wherever you're at on that journey, whether it's in a relationship with yourself or in a relationship with a partner, just know that you are never alone. You always have you to fall back on. You always have that love that you can give yourself. Yes, it's nice to share that with a partner, but if you don't have that love for yourself, like Chris mentioned earlier, it's going to be impossible to even receive it from a partner. So if you're looking outside yourself for love, you're looking in the wrong places.
Damn. We're leaving him with that.
No. I know what we're leaving them with. So it sounds like we're wrapping up. Is there any final thoughts that you have about this retreat? Anything that you would tell someone like, hey, get on the wait list? Like, what are you waiting on? Like, come play with us because we're definitely going to do one next year. Like, anything you want to share about the retreat?
Yeah, if you want to take your personal relationship and the one that you have with your partner, just if you're ready for that to be to the next level, if you're ready to really dive in and communicate and to have the tools, the tips, and the techniques to make that happen, to live that like happier life, we've been calling for years now, 7 or above, to live at that level on a consistent basis, come hang out with us. Our retreats are a hangout mixed with some education,
hang out and healing.
Yeah, it's true. It's the combination of the two. It's allowing you plenty of time to process, to just chill out, to float. What we call it? We blew up a unicorn, put it in the pool.
Oh, Betty.
Betty. Okay, so we call it Betty. So if you want to hang out on Betty and hang out with us, come do it.
Sweet Betty.
Plus, Chef Kevin has the best food in the world. He's one of the best chefs I've ever. Oh, the food.
Yeah, the food was outstanding. I think what we learned is that we need to make it one day longer.
Yeah.
So I think we'll make it longer next year. And we've also got the Goddess Retreat coming up next month in April, going down in Colorado. I'm super excited about connecting with powerful women so that they can continue this work of leadership and bringing more creativity to the world. And like retreats are really the thing that I find myself like spending a lot of my creative and mental energy on. Like lately, I really love being able to make all the details perfect and luxury and just like pour all of my love and creative energy into it. I am really having a good time with that.
Well, here's the deal. Speaking about luxury retreats, like it's called Goddess for a reason. And that is that you see women really start to change and really sort of step into what powerful role they can be in when they see themselves as something different. If you're not seeing yourself something as big enough, then you don't ever like really take the steps. And so coming to a place that's luxury, being pampered in a certain way, like having things taken care of for you like that, you end up seeing yourself differently. You're like, oh, this is me.
I am worthy.
I am worthy. I do deserve this. I am powerful. I can do big things. And that
I manifested that shit.
Yes. And so that makes you take action on whatever dreams you've been sleeping on. Because that's what mostly has happened. You know what to do. You know what dreams you have. The issue a lot of times is not doing it or not doing it in a certain way, not doing it in a way that's beneficial for you and not just playing busy. So this is one of those times where you can get out of that mental space where if you played small or if you've been trying to play big, be like, I'm not really sure. When we're done here, it's going to be like, dude, I can do anything. I mean, game over. Everybody watch out.
Oh, game over. So to end this, I feel like we should share one of the retreaters' most famous quote and line from the retreat that we have carried on and continued with.
All right, this is for you. If you listen to this, Musto, Commander Musto, this one's for you, brother.
Commander.
Go for it.
Isn't it wonderful that marvelous things are happening to me right now?
Put it on repeat. Put that on repeat in your mind and let that play out for you for the next week, for the next month. Feel that inside you and see what happens.
Isn't it wonderful that marvelous things are happening to me right now? Doesn't that feel so good?
It just feels, I already feel wonderful.
Well, keep that wonderful feeling with you today. Thank you so much for tuning in to the Elevated Life podcast. We love sharing our wisdom. If you want to come hang out with us, be sure to get on the wait list for our retreats. Come hang out with us in Colorado in April at the Goddess Retreat if you are ready for healing and some fun, some hanging out. Until then, we'll catch you later. Peace. Thanks so much for tuning in to the Elevated Life podcast. Want more? Join us at theelevatedlifeclub.com for mindset upgrades, lifestyle hacks, and spiritual tools to elevate your soul.
Each month features a new masterclass, meditation, yoga practice, and more to help you transform your life one step at a time.
Come join the 7 or Above Club.